Hi, this is Partha. We're at the Belkin office speaking to Andrew. Thank you very much, Andrew, for speaking to us today and inviting us into your office. So, what do you have to show us today?
Hi, Partha. Thanks for coming. Basically, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the AC1200 router that we've recently launched. For those that aren't aware, AC is the new industry standard for networking. If you look at some of the models a little lower, you'll see that traditionally you've had your N-range, which you obviously have your N450, your N600, etc., your N750, and so on. The AC range is, like I said, the new industry standard. The 1000 is actually not an industry standard, and we'll be moving away from that. We'll be focusing more on the AC1200. The AC1200, just to give you a little bit of information about the product itself, it's 2.8 times faster than your traditional N industry standard. And the main reason for that is that it'll work on two frequencies, one being the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz, and it'll actually switch from one frequency to the other. On the 2.4 gigahertz, it'll actually run at speeds of about 300 megabits per second, whereas on the 5 gigahertz, it'll run anywhere between sort of 800 to 860, 870 megabits per second. What differentiates this product from a lot of the competition is the fact that we have in parental control through Norton, which obviously adds a completely new dimension to networking. To give you a practical example, if you did not want your children in the afternoons using their Xbox or their Sony PlayStation, you could set a parameter that the router will not connect to that particular device, which obviously it's connected to at other times, between say 2 in the afternoon and 6 in the evening when you come home, to give you a practical example. Another thing that it has, which has now become an industry standard, is quality of service, which most people are aware of. Something which is very new to us and which we're very excited about is something called multi-beam technology. Traditionally, a router will transmit a signal out, let's call it in a donut shape or an apple shape, and fulfill the entire room, which, as you can imagine, you lose a lot of signal, a lot of bandwidth. Whereas what the multi-beam technology does is the router will actually detect devices within the home or within the office, wherever the router is set up, that require a wireless connection.
Okay, a very interesting introduction to the AC1200. You also have the mid-range products that are doing particularly well in the region, so if you could just take us through that as well.
Sure, no problem. Well, let's start with the entry level, the N150 range, which has been a big mover for us in the past and for many other networking vendors. However, with the introduction of more tablets and more smartphones, consumers are now looking for higher bandwidth, faster speeds. I'm not sure if you're aware, but up to 75% of all online activities are now either live streaming or downloading of video content. In order to do that, you need a higher spec router, something that can actually transmit data at much higher rates.
Okay.
So although there's always going to be a requirement for the N150 and the N300, more people are now starting to look at the N technology and N plus technology, as we refer to it. We have the N450, we have the N600, and then up from that we have the N750, which unfortunately I don't have on display today.
That's fine.
As part of the range, we also offer a range extender. This is a dual band range extender, doing exceptionally well for us in the market. Something which is also not here today, which we introduced into the market about 6-7 months ago, is the wall mount range extender, dual band, which obviously makes it extremely convenient for consumers finding that particular dead spot in the house and actually being able to just go and plug in the router into a power socket in that particular area of the house.
Very interesting. You also have a range of products here, the VMO, if you may. So just if you could introduce us to that as well.
Sure, not a problem. Very briefly, because it's obviously it's a very in-depth product. VMO is an addition of home automation. Very simply put, you can connect any electrical device to the power socket, and through an app that you can download off the App Store, and obviously then connect it to your wireless network at home, you can control that device. Control meaning you can turn it on and off. However, you can also set particular parameters or rules. Obviously, because it's connected to the internet, it has access to things such as time and date and weather conditions. So you could set a rule that at 6 o'clock at night, the device automatically turns on or automatically turns off. You could also, if you buy the bundle, which is obviously the switch plus the motion sensor, you could set a parameter that between X time in the morning and X time in the evening, if somebody had to walk into a room, that particular device would switch on or switch off.
Very interesting. Great. Now, very curious, this is the part where we get interesting for our viewers. What is the channel strategy that you're following for these products within the region? So, if you just tell us about that shortly.
No problem at all. So basically for what we refer to as power retail, in the past, we've made use of multiple distributors, and what we've done is that we've streamlined our distribution approach in terms of working with as few partners as possible. We're a relatively small team here, handling many different countries throughout Middle Eastern Africa. So it's important for us that we were able to focus. One way of doing that is to have as few distribution partners as possible, thereby creating synergy across the market. Hence, a distributor handling multiple countries, as opposed to one particular distributor in each country. Obviously, because of geographical location and size, it would make sense for a distributor, say in the UAE, to be managing the likes of Bahrain and Oman. So like I said previously, you'd have that synergy across the market. Something also that we've put a tremendous amount of focus on is our go-to-market strategy in terms of approaching the retailers. What we've done is that we ourselves as Belkin have gotten far more involved. So we don't just get involved on a promotional basis or from a marketing perspective. We actually get involved in terms of the everyday, day-to-day running of the business, from introduction of MPIs, new product introductions, through to pricing models, strategies, in-store displays, point-of-sale material, etc., etc. We've built a rapport with the retailers, and that's something that we're looking to maintain and actually add to and build on going forward.
Okay. In terms of the UAE, is there something new that you're doing with your new products? I mean, you mentioned the AC range is really picking up. What are you doing in the region to maintain that momentum?
Okay, it's a good question. Obviously, Belkin has over 3,000 or 4,000 live SKUs at any point in time. It's pretty difficult to market each one individually. So what we would do is that we would actually market a particular product as part of a range. And what I mean by that is, we wouldn't select the AC1200 and do a marketing or PR push around that particular product. What we would do is we would look at the AC1200 as part of the AC range. The AC1000, the AC1200, the recently introduced AC1850, which is the highest spec router currently available. And we would do a push. When I say a push, PR activities, presentations, and some marketing above the line on that particular range. The same would apply for what we refer to as the home entertainment range, which is what you see here behind me, the Wemo, the IP camera, the baby monitor, etc. We would look at it as a particular range and push the range.
What about marketing support for your retailers and your channel, basically your entire channel, whether it's the resellers, your distributors, the retailers at a lower level, power retailers? What are you doing in terms of marketing support for them? Okay,
so the first and foremost, we participate in all retailers' exclusive promotions. So whether it be back to school, whether it be DSS, whether it be Gitex, we would participate with them. And what we then do is that on a quarterly basis, we have our own generic promotions, which we then look to implement. Case in point being, currently at the moment, we're running a promotion that if you purchase any Belkin product, regardless of the value or the category, you get a coupon which would entitle you to a 25% discount on your or food build at Hard Rock. So we managed to tie up with Hard Rock Cafe, the restaurant at DFC, which is extremely popular. We felt that the fit between Hard Rock and Belkin products, there's a lot of synergy between the two in terms of customer perception. And it was, the promotion's going exceptionally well.
What about the other region? I mean, clearly you're here for the Middle East region as an entire. Well, you look at it as one country because UAE as a market would probably be very niche. So, how do you target the rest of the Middle East versus how the UAE market is at the moment?
It's a good question. What we looked at doing is, to use simple terminology, we look at copy paste. We see what's worked for us here. I'm sure you can appreciate that. Most vendors will look to their biggest markets first. They will look to build those particular markets and then look to venture out from there. So in terms of what we've done and what we've created throughout markets such as Saudi, the UAE, Kuwait and South Africa, we would then look at rolling out similar strategies throughout some of the other smaller countries like Bahrain, Oman, Jordan, etc.
So which countries at the moment are in your crosshairs?
Sorry?
Which countries at the moment are in your crosshairs in terms of, what market are you looking to penetrate and create an impression right now?
Okay, it's also a good question. For us at the moment, there's a huge focus on Qatar. We're seeing a big boom there in terms of the retail landscape itself is growing. We also believe that there's a very big secondary market or reseller market, which we're looking to penetrate. And the other market would be Kuwait. Kuwait for us is relatively untapped at this stage in terms of penetration. So those are the two markets that we're putting a lot of focus and emphasis on at the moment. And probably the third one would be North Africa and East and West Africa. Geographically, it's a very large region. It's an extremely complex place to do business. We've identified a couple of partners. We've recently made some inroads into Nigeria and more recently in Kenya as well. So we'll be looking to push in those areas.
Excellent. Any final parting statements you want to make to the viewers of this video?
Yes, it's an extremely exciting time to be part of Belkin. Our product portfolio is only growing at this stage. We also just announced this week a sponsorship of a pro cycling team, which started the Tour de France 2 days ago, and which we believe through the sponsorship deal over the course of the next 2.5 years is going to give the Belkin brand exposure to over 4 billion viewers, whether on the sidelines at the 10 or 12 international races that the team is competing in, but also through TV viewing. With the acquisition of Linksys recently, we've demonstrated a clear intent to be number one in networking globally. Like I said, an exciting time to be part of Belkin. A lot of new things taking place. Moving a little bit away from the sort of tech conversation on cases and sleeves. We've signed some licensing agreements with Lego. As well as Orla Kylie, who's a very popular, very well-known designer throughout Europe, as well as Vans, the clothing designer group. And you'll see some of those products coming through on the shelf probably in the course of the next 2 months or so.
Excellent. Thank you very much for speaking to us. We look forward to our next meet very soon.
Roger, thank you very much.